Welcome to Maths Bridge. Let's learn Java programming. Folks, please do visit us at our YouTube channel Maths Bridge. I think you are already subscribed to the channel. If you have not, please do subscribe the channel and then support us. Thank you and then happy learning. Here is our today's agenda. Java arrays. So general form of Java arrays, you could see this way, right? Type and square brackets and then name. Whenever you see this one, surely I think this is a a sort of array, right? Type means like data type. That's what the data type, and then with this symbol. Whenever you see this as a prefix to the name, then the name would be array name of type whatever the data type that you are going to declare. So you get this. This is general form of Java arrays. So what is meant by array, right? Arrays are used to store the multiple values in a single variable. Instead of declaring separate variables for each value. Let's say I would like to store 10 integer values. So what normally I would thought of doing is like creating like a 10 integer variables and then I will start assigning value to it, right? Is it only way that we can do it? Then the answer would be yes, we have a alternative method which is called Java arrays. Java arrays are used to store the multiple values of same data type using a single variable known as a Java variable, array variable, right? That's a concept of Java arrays. Let's get into little more details. So Java array is an object which contains elements of similar data types. The elements of array are stored in contiguous memory locations. Contiguous means like one after another. Okay. Array is to store the similar elements. Reiterating again, if you say like you would like to have like an integer variables, then you would actually creating a array for storing 10 integer values. That is how array variable should be declared. Similarly for other data types. Fixed set of elements can be stored in Java array. During the declaration / instantiation, you have to specify one way or other that how much length of the array that is required, and then from there onwards that is a fixed size. We will see. Okay. One more thing that you would like to reiterate here is array in a Java is index based, meaning so when you create array you see that all the elements allocated in contiguous memory locations, right? The first element of the array is stored in at index 0, the second element of array is stored in index 1 and so on. That is how indexing the array elements in Java. Let's say for instance, this is what I think the one of the definition of Java array. Let's say inum is a Java variable, okay, and this is a array variable because I see a sign like a square brackets of type int. So integer type Java array variable. How much size depends upon what is that you see in the right side. New is a keyword which is used to allocate memory for this variable. What sort of that memory that you are going to allocate? Int, right, of array. So this means like you are trying to allocate contiguous memory locations of type int and referring them to inum. So inum is now holding address of this newly created memory locations, base address of the newly created memory location. From there you are going to indexing them. So when you see these values means like during the declaration instantiation and then your initialization. All together you are doing at a single line, which we will see in detail in sample program. For now, my intention here to let you know that if at all you would see array of these elements, how would you refer them using enum reference variable. So let's say like when memory gets allocated to store these values, this is how you see that. Okay, you have 5 locations, 5 elements, and then 5 memory placeholders of type int is what getting allocated, and you would see index positioning them like from index 0 to index n minus 1. So where you are storing the value, 11 is index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. That is how I depicted in the console in the picture, right? So if you really precisely we say how you are going to refer these memory locations using your enum, right? So enum 0, like enum of index 0 is what you are trying to use to access the the memory location where you are holding 11. Okay, the value which you stored in num1 of 0 is 11. That is how I see. These are called indexes. On the hood you say like indices. Okay, so in this example I just created like an integer variables, but you still can use this concept to the other primitive data types like integer, char, float, double and all. Okay, you can also extend this to object of the class as well, which we can understand detailedly when you are discussing about a class and objects. On quick note, here is an example. So this is where I think I'm trying to declare the Java array variable. This is where I am instantiating the array, means like allocating the memory and then assigning to it. It means like enum is now referring these memory locations. I started initializing all the elements by using like a index of the memory locations, right? Then I'm trying to print on console using system.out.l. This is what the output would be. Get it? In this session, we will go through like 8 different scenarios to explore more on Java arrays to understand the concepts clear. Let's see Java array concept using sample programs. Right, let's continue the all the sample programs by which we will see concept of the Java arrays. Let's look at this first example. What we are trying to do in this case is I am declaring a Java variable by doing that. So when I see this line number 7, which indicates like a enum1 is a Java variable, I mean array variable of type int, because prefix int with square brackets means like you are trying to declare a array of type int, and then the given name is enum1. This is called a declaration. For the Java variables, right, you have to explicitly create a memory and assign to it using new keyword. New is a reserved keyword in Java, okay, which we have to use. This is a syntax for creating a memory, contiguous memory locations of a required elements. Let's say you would like to create a Java variable to store 5 integer elements. This is what the index, new int of 5. Okay, when you say this one, what happens is like memory gets allocated, and then because you assign that to the left side variable enum, now enum is referring those memory locations. These memory locations are known as a contiguous memory locations, means like one after another is what you see in the order by looking up, by observing the address of this one. This what we can call it as in Java is a instantiation of a array in Java. Means like creating a instance of that elements that you ask for. Since now declaration is done, instantiation is done, then that means like array is ready for you. So how you are going to access the array? You can see all the elements in the array, right? So when I say 5, there are 5 elements in that array. So array name is like inum, right? That's what you are referring with. And then how you are going to access the array elements? Using index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the indices or index. So inum of 0 is where I am initializing the value. Inum of 1 where I am initializing 22. Inum of 2 where I am initializing 33. At index 0 I am storing 11. Index 1 I am storing 22. Index 2 I am storing 33. Index 3 44. Index 4 55. This is what I did. So declaration, instantiation, initialization. Right now I have complete 5 element integer array with data stored in it. Let me try test by displaying them on the console using system.out.println, right? Let me run through this program, then see like what is an output that you would see. So that's good. So this is what I stored, same thing. I was able to access them and then displayed on the console. So I'm good. So whatever I was trying to store, those things I am able to access and then displaying. This is how Java arrays will be created and then used in your program. This is one method, but we will see. Is it only way that we have to do, or can we do like any improvisation for this existing program? The answer is yes. Let's see the next way of doing things in sample example 2. So if you look at this, what I was trying to do, instead of declaring and initializing in a separate lines, I was trying to do both at one go in line number 10. Do you see this one? Int, if there is array symbol inum equal to new int 5. I can put them together into single line. This means declaration and instantiation can be doable like this. Once you have this ready, then you have initialization, you have the console printing messages. So this also produces same output without having an error. If I run this program, I would see exactly the same thing. Let's see next example. Do you see the difference? See, you have all the system output messages in the sequential order. All this, if you really look at the changes only the index numbers. So rather than actually having them all separate lines, can we optimize this piece of code? How we are going to do that? So first thought in my mind is that, okay, why can't we use for loop? Because this is a loop, right? So you create a for loop like for int count equal to 0. This is like the counter variable. This is condition because you wanted to access the memory locations of 5. So index start from 0. So 0 means like count can grow up to 5. So as long as this termination condition met, you are anyway exit from the for loop. But this is like how many iterations that are required. Like keep track of iteration by incrementing the count value. Within which what I am doing is like instead of having like a hard code index value like in a previous one, right? These are hard code values. So you are just explicitly defining these index positions. Now programmatically you are managing using for loop. Like because the count starts from 0, reaches till less than 5, and hence those many iterations, if you runs it, body of the for loop always gets executed with a proper number. So syntactically if you see, inum of count is what I could say. So when the control comes to here, it keep repeating by itself so that I could see all the print out messages on the console as required. Let me run through this program. See, same output it will produces. So what are all things we did it? We have taken care of like declaring and instantiation at one level, and then make use of the for loop. You are actually printing on console all the array elements, right? Next question that I would like to ask, is it only the way that I have to initialize, or do you have any mechanism? Yes, we have an alternative way to do things. if you look at this program, you see this one, during the declaration and instantiation, if you would know what are the elements that you are going to store, you can still do initialization also. So in a single line you can do 3 things at one go. This is one way, right? That's the only change between the previous program to current program. So if you would actually compile this program, then it will run the same output. What I will do, right, let's say for the simple instance, this is a 55 and this would be 5 is what I think I maintained, right, in the previous program. So if I can run this, it will produce the same thing. Yeah. So what I was trying to actually extend my explanation by saying, if at all I would know, like I can actually add 6 elements like this, then I can print by using 6 update here, because my count is 6 now, right? By saying so, if I can run this program, it will actually print 6. But the difference that is that you got it. So I got a 6 elements get printed on the console. But what is the problem here is that every time whenever I am trying to add in elements, I would also need to update here. That's the the topic that we are going to discuss now. We are going to introduce one more concept called array length. Is there any way that we can find out the length of the array? How many elements that we have within the array? Yes, we can do that in Java. This is what the your definition. The array name, variable name dot length basically gives you length of the array elements. In our cases, like how many elements I have 6 elements, and hence my length would be 6, right? I could actually print them 6. So let me run this program and then see the difference. Excellent. So I got length 6. So what this means, like initially I hard coded my count value, the max count value. Now I don't need to really look for it dynamically. The enum1 dot length will takes care of it. Let's say if I am going to remove one element, then what happens, your length would be 5, and then you would expecting this for loop should only executes 5 times, because your loop repetitions are equal to 5, right? So if you can run this program without bothering much about a for loop, you still can manage this output. Do you see this one now? So this is an advantage. So you are actually doing more a logical sense of doing a programmatic part, rather than actually hard coding values and then creating a program mess, right? Always be better to logically think what are the best things that you can do as part of your program practices. So far we have seen this for loop, right? There is another concept implementing the for loop. That's a beautiful concept. Let's see this program. So we have a for each loop. So syntactically there is a change in it. So for int count colon and variable name, this is how you have to represent. Now what happens is, like count always filled with like a enum value. Every time that it runs, every element the loop repeats until it ends, and then every time what it does is like fetch one element from array and then assigning to count. So and hence this count is what you are using in your system.out.println. So count is literally your iteration of array, right? That is how it looks like. But one thing you have to remember, count, if you assume count is a variable, for loop variable, right, then this data type should be as same as array variable data type. Okay, that is a list. If you have a string, you should have a string. If it is a double, you should have a double. Noted? So now if I run this program, you will see the output which is the same. Do you get it? If I introduce like a one more element here, in this case You see, automatically without having a length variable also this program takes care. And do you see the difference in the for loop? You see I got a 6, right? Yeah, so here I have only two elements. One is like a count but not initializing anything to it, and colon with array variable. So it basically like fetches each and every element of this array and then assigning to it. Each time it fetches one, and then same the value will get print in line number 14. That's what you see in the console. Do you get that one? The previous one, you see, this is how the for loop is, but for each loop basically tells this is what my simplified version. So far what we have seen is data type integer, but is it all for the Java array? No, you can extend this concept to the other data types also. For instance, same program but I made it like a double is a data type. You see here, instead of int I replace with a double, and the variable also double. So if you can run this program, it produces same, but you know now instead of integer value it is a double having a fractional part, decimal part. Okay, so we have the last example which basically demonstrating a string, right? Assuming that like I have a string array, my cars is a variable name, array variable name of type string. I am initializing all these values to it. Okay, this is one way that you can do that. Okay, so if you know like at the time of declaration, if you know that these are the elements that I can initialize, you still can do that. Indirectly it takes care of all these three steps. This for loop concept is remains same, and then this for each loop also remains same, right? So if you would run this program, both for loops should generate a same output. Do you see this? That's the beauty. Alright, I think we covered all the concepts of Java array. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, click on bell icon and leave the comments. Happy learning. Thank you. Stay tuned to upcoming sessions.